just the other day, this happened to me. I enrolled a young lady over the phone while waiting in the car wash line.
Yeah.
I broke out my phone, turned on my hotspot, sat there with the laptop because there was 10 cars in front of me. And I enrolled her in a Medicare Advantage and a hospital indemnity plan. So made a little over $1,000 that day.
Sitting in a car wash line.
Sitting in a car wash line.
Welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I am your host, Dallas Keithley. It is Thursday already. I know you guys sit on the edge of your seat all week waiting for the new episode to drop. And guys, we have got a doozy for you today. I appreciate all that you guys have done, man. You guys have blown me away with the kind words, the comments, the questions. I hope we are helping some people. I want to hear what are you successful at? How is your week going? Give me some wins. Every week, we want to hear wins and hear from you and talk about it, because as much as we try to encourage you, you guys are inadvertently encouraging us. And so I really appreciate that. We've got some big things planned for the Medicare Sales Playbook. We are going to be hitting the road before too long. That always makes producer Adam a little bit nervous, but that's all right. We want to get outside our comfort zone. And so we are going to be trying to hit the road soon and coming to a city near you. So be watching for that. I appreciate Adam and all his hard work, and I just want to make him work just a little bit harder. On the show today, we have a very special guest. Tony Gossard is with me today, and Tony is a guy that, man, just an absolute hard worker and a student of the game, so I wanted to have him on. Tony, thank you for being on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's an honor.
Absolutely. So you have been in the business since 2019, started in February.
Correct. February 2019.
What'd you do before that?
I was a manager of different health programs through Cox Health. Mm-hmm. Their corporate wellness is what it was called. So I managed different companies, their wellness programs. I had the large groups.
Yeah.
And so I worked at Cox Health for about 20 years.
Wow. 20 years there. And what made you switch after 20 years? It's hard. Like you talk about getting uncomfortable. Had to get a little uncomfortable. What made you make the switch and get in insurance?
Well, they actually let me go. So
that's uncomfortable.
That was the uncomfortable part for sure. After 20 years, they let me go. It was interesting. You always had great reviews. Every one of my annual reviews was great. And then all of a sudden, new management comes in, and I don't know. We didn't mesh so well together. So they got rid of me. And then, I was like, well, what else can I do with all this knowledge of healthcare? And I was introduced to Brian Askins, and he said, hey, come on in, let's sit and visit. And he basically walked me through it, and I was like, that sounds like something I can do. Yeah. And so I took the leap of faith and jumped.
Yeah. You do you lead with Medicare, correct? Is that
that's going to be my biggest book, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you got into it, was it a slow start, just bang right out of the gate? How did it go for you in the beginning?
Depends on how you say slow start. Like you're getting paid, it's slow because Medicare is slow on that end. But I jumped all in and went for it. Brian and I started doing seminars together, Brian Askins. Mm-hmm. And then a short while after he got me going, I picked up with another agent in Secure Insurance. And then he and I did seminars together. Mm-hmm. And then really we just took off from there.
Yeah. I want to visit that point you just made. Medicare, great money, great residual money, right? All that stuff. But it can be hard. I'm sure there's agents listening now that they're trying to get going and they're like, wait a second, hold on. I don't get paid till it's effective. And then really it's half that month and half the next month. Looking back, what advice would you give to yourself to maybe get going quicker or make some money while you're waiting on that money?
Oh, I think it's those other products too. If you sell some life insurance in there, if anything else that you can tag with the Medicare products, that would be the thing. Yeah. I jumped in thinking I needed to know everything before I got started, and everybody always says, don't do that. Well, that's just not me. I wanted to know everything before I jumped in. And so it made it a little harder on me. I think if I would have listened to everybody else, it probably would have went a little more easier and
Yeah.
maybe got paid a little faster.
Yeah. Well, we live and learn, right? And,
Yeah.
yeah. So with that being said, you said something there. Listen to everybody else. Almost every person we've had on the podcast has said, I have a mentor, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who would you consider to be your mentor? And if someone's looking for a mentor, what are they looking for in that?
Wow. My mentor was Brian, because Brian Askins took me under his wing and just showed me every bit of it. And, I could go to him at any point, ask a question. Now he's too busy for that, I imagine. But, it's good to have a different agent or another person that would do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I plan on doing or will do. Just like Brian did with me, take somebody under my wing and just show them all the ropes and say, hey, this is how it works. But I think that's what I would say. Your question was, what do you look for in a mentor? Is somebody that's going to show you everything, somebody that's going to sharpen, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be that premise of this person is taking you under the wing. And I think Brian wants me to succeed more than he has.
Yeah.
That mentality, you know what I mean? Like he wants to bring you over the top of whatever he's doing at whatever level he's at. He would celebrate if I came home and said, hey, Brian, I did this, this, and this. It'd be like, oh my goodness, that's better than I ever did. And he would celebrate with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I know. He got me into business as well, and so I always want to give credit. I knew where you were going to go with that answer, and so at least I hoped I was right. Like took a little gamble
little
there.
Plant,
little plant, but you nailed it. So the big reason I wanted to have you in here today is you did something that a lot of agents do. You started off kind of part time, right? You were working at Home Depot, I believe it was, and then kind of transitioned into it. Would you do that over again? And then the second part of that question is, how did you know when it was time to say, okay, because it's hard to give up that every week paycheck, right?
Oh, yeah.
How did you know, okay, it is time to jump in full force?
So I would actually say I worked at Home Depot part-time because I was taking on the insurance. Yeah. I was taking on the insurance full-time. The Home Depot deal, I love doing home remodeling and things like that. So it was kind of like just something there that I enjoyed doing and that my knowledge base would also be able to apply for or towards. And so I did that as a steady paycheck. You talked about having that paycheck every week, every month. I only worked at part-time at Home Depot so I could have that check. Just enough to kind of float the bills. It didn't pay for the bills by any means. It was part-time.
Right.
But the other side of the insurance business was helping pay the bills, that little trickle I was getting at the start. And so that's where I would say I was full-time with insurance, but part-time with Home Depot.
I like that. Yeah. Because, man, I hear people say all the time, I'm going to do this 3 or 4 hours a day or, 2 or 3 hours a week. It just, honestly, I'm sure there's people that are doing it, but it doesn't really work. Honestly, I think it's harder.
I would agree. If you have a full-time job and you're working 8 to 5, that type thing, it's going to be harder to set appointments with clients.
Yeah.
So what I did was I was able to build my client schedule around the Home Depot. So I tried to work at 4 o'clock in the evening and on at Home Depot. And I did that a couple of days of the week. And then, of course, you work the weekends over there. So that it was a perfect setup for both.
Yeah.
They enjoyed having me there, and I enjoyed getting that steady check. So
Yep. So what for me? So I worked part-time at a restaurant when I first got into this, and my wife and I sat down. For us, it was a money thing. We decided when we have this much in the bank, we'll make that transition. So that was our goal. Was there something like that for you that you said, okay, when I hit this, was it clients? What was it that you'll jump in and leave Home Depot and just let yourself go in the insurance world?
Great question. So I enjoyed Home Depot.
Right.
And even after the first year, I could have quit. I worked there for 2 years and almost to the month, 2 years to the month. And so it was more of a schedule conflict. I had to leave here 3:30 to get over there by 4 o'clock. I didn't have to change clothes or nothing like that. I always kind of dress casual, whatever, like this, and I'd wear this at Home Depot.
Yeah.
And so it was about the scheduling. When I started getting more conflicts And that is so concrete. You're working Thursday at 4:00. Okay, you got to be there Thursday at 4:00. There was no floating, no flexible, nothing. So at that point, I was like, this has been fun, but I got to go.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
For me too, even a great day at the restaurant, if I made $300,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there looking at it going, okay, I just put in 12 hours, made $300. That's half a Medicare sale.
Oh yeah.
That's half of that's a very small life sale.
Yeah.
And so it is hard to let go of that, cash in the hand. But man, once you realize, okay, financially, this is just not making sense.
My wife hates me because I'll tell her things like this. Just the other day, this happened to me. I enrolled a young lady over the phone while waiting in the car wash line.
Yeah.
I broke out my phone, turned on my hotspot, sat there with the laptop because there was 10 cars in front of me. And I enrolled her in a Medicare Advantage and a hospital indemnity plan. So made a little over $1,000 that day.
Sitting in a car wash line.
Sitting in a car wash line. And my wife was just like, you suck. Yeah.
Well, it's not because you didn't rub it in or anything like that.
No, I was just telling her, this is what I love about this job.
Yeah. That's great.
This is what you can do. And she's like, you suck.
My daughter actually came to me. She's getting in the business, and she came to me. She works at a little coffee shop here in town, loves it. Like, that's what, from like 9 years old, she's like, Dad, I want to be a barista. And I'm like,
sure.
Okay, that's cool. So she loves it. But she came to me one day. She's like, Dad, I made $300 this week.
Yeah.
How many sales would that take for me to?
Yeah.
And I said, well, Shelby, if you made one sale and gave half of it back,
Right.
then you would make $300. And
Right.
so
and
it really is that
and
perspective.
that was a 2-week deal?
Yeah, that was 2 weeks. That was
so
over
one
2-week
sale in
paycheck.
2 weeks, but you got to give half of it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, okay, Dad, I see the value in it, and I see that. And you're helping people. And I think that's one thing too. With Shelby, there was a perception that, Dad, I don't want to be a used car salesman.
Correct.
Nothing against used car salesmen or anything like that. I don't want to be a used car salesman. I kind of started talking to her about the people that I've helped.
Yeah, they say I don't want to be a salesperson, period. Not just car sales, but any salesperson.
Right.
And I look at myself as more of an educator.
Yeah.
I'm not a salesperson. I just provide the education and get it to where they can make an informed decision on what's best for their needs. I'm not a salesperson.
I really think being a salesperson in this business can hurt you.
I would say the same thing, because it's not about sign here, woohoo, I got a sale.
Right.
It's not that. No, we're truly helping people.
Right. And if I push somebody into something, they're more likely to fall out of it too. And that's where your chargebacks come and all that stuff. I'll even, back in the day, I'd say, if somebody said, what would you do? I'd say, no, it's not about me.
Right.
What's holding you up? Let me ask you some questions, and let's find the right fit for you.
I don't like the fact that you can get win a cruise if you sell 50 of these policies, but you only can sell this policy.
Right.
I don't like those things. So I won't ever do that to the clients.
Just do what's best for the client.
I want to do what's best
right.
for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are a student of the business. I asked you here a while back if you knew some stuff about dental plans, and you brought me a full laid out comparison spreadsheet. And I'm like, this dude studies his business. He knows what he's doing. And I mean that as a compliment. How much time do you spend a week studying your business and studying your products and stuff like that?
It's just been a little at a time, but I've built a significant little comparison sheet. Mm-hmm. And as I get a new product, I put it in there. Anytime I want to see that comparison, I can pull it up and see it.
Yeah. Why? Why do you do that? Why do you want to see this comparison sheet?
Well, we were just talking about what's best for the client. I want to know, I said it earlier too, I want to know the ins and outs of the products so I can sell it better also. Yeah. I hated when a client asks you a question and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know. I think it's this. No, I want to know. And so where I can show it, I'm a visual person, so I'm a visual learner. Mm-hmm. And if I could show the client too, it also instills that trust in me because they're seeing it. It's not me just saying, oh yeah, this is the thing, sign here. It's this is why, and here it is. I can show you this is why this is the product for you.
Well, and what's your retention rate? I
have pretty strong retention rate, actually. I haven't try to put it down in percentages, but I'll just lose a handful of people a year.
Yeah.
And it's most of the time it's because somebody rope-a-doped them into something else. You know, it wasn't a good product for them. I can tell you a story, but I won't too much into it. But that's usually what happens. They get a phone call and one of the call centers switch them just because they can. Yep. And then come to find out their drug cost is 3 times higher. So,
but they got that $50 shopping cart.
They did, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah, we love those. So the reason I said that is, I'm obviously throwing you softballs here, but it is about retention. Like that's residual income is why we do Medicare. So knowing your product and let me ask you this: how long does your Medicare appointment last? It's brand new. Somebody you're sitting down first time. How long are you sitting in front of them?
Generally an hour.
Yeah.
Just because I want to review it and again, get that informed decision. I present it, then they can make that informed decision. Yeah. You're taking the time, and seniors especially, I think really appreciate that. Like this is a big deal to them. I think too many times we think of this as, it's Medicare. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. For them, it's basically Swahili. And you've got to teach them and all that stuff. So it's crazy important to do that with your clients. So that's great. I want to finish off with this. You, as you said earlier, were let go by your former employer and stuff like that. How important is it to you now to be an independent agent, to grow your business, and nobody's firing Tony Gossard? Like, it's in your hands, correct? Very true. It's very important. I love being able to build my own schedule. Back when my son was playing sports, I could take off at 3:00 and go watch the ball games, things like that. I didn't have to say, hey, I want to take the afternoon off. Oh, you have to have 4 hours. You have to take the whole afternoon off. You can't just leave at 2:30. Right. It's so great to be able to have that freedom and that independence. And you're right. Nobody's firing me. Yeah. I mean, the only thing, if I lose my license, that's the only chance I'm going to get fired. Yeah. There's days I'd like to fire me. But we have some we won't talk
some
about
talks.
that, Dallas.
We have some talks, but no, at the end of the day, it's just me. And so that's great. I do want to end with this. What are your goals? First of all, did you ever think you'd get to where you are as quickly? Are you ahead of schedule of where you thought? Are you behind where you thought? And then what's next? Where are you going? My mind is just blown on what's happened with my business. So, I would have never had thought I'd be at this point. Yeah. And so it's been a very good thing. That's all I can say. It's been a great thing for me. That's great. I like it. And goals, I like to keep track. Initially, my biggest goal was I want to make more money than I made at my last job. And so I took a spreadsheet, me and my spreadsheets, and I built a little thing that compounded my salary when I left the hospital at 3%. And that's like a act of Congress to get a 3% raise through them. So, I took it that next step up, and I just compounded it every year. And I wanted to see where I was at. And I mean, I'd have to have 2 careers now at that place of employment to make what I make today. Wow. So the best revenge is living well, isn't it? My goals have been exceeded. Nice. 10 times of what I ever would have expected. That's great. That's great. And you're starting now to build a team and starting to help more agents and get agents underneath you. So that's the next challenge, right? Tried that. Yeah. Yeah. It's challenging, isn't it? It is. As hard as it is to get yourself to work, try to get somebody else to work. Right. Well, and talking to that part-time stuff, I've got a gentleman that is working it part-time, but he hasn't done anything. So he's got the full-time job that he's working 8 to 5. And it's hard to meet people. It's hard to get in front of people with that. So, I mean, but he knew it coming in. Yeah. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, man, Tony, always good to visit with you. Appreciate you coming on. How can people reach you if they want to reach out to Tony? My phone number? Well, what about an email? Give me. You can email me at tony.gossard@secureig.com. Tony.gossard@secureig.com. And the phone number will be in that email, right? Sure, yeah. Yeah. I like it. Well, Tony, in the reply. Always good to talk with you, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, again, thank you for all that you guys do. Appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully something Tony said hit home with you, and reach out to Tony. Shoot questions to him. Ask him, hey, what would you do if this were you, or what could I do to help myself here? And, I know that different people, that's why we have different people in for different problems that people are having that they can speak to. So, guys, do me a favor, reach out to Adam Steffen, our producer, comment here on whatever podcast you're listening to, whatever, and just tell him you want me to come to your city and we want to teach a Medicare Sales Playbook. He's laughing. He's doing we can't hear you, Adam. So no, but we want to come to your city. We want to help you guys out. We're ready to hit the road, man. Adam's wife loves it when he travels. Thank you guys again for listening to the Medicare Sales Playbook. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next week.